Hello and welcome to the Achieve Your Goals podcast, the show that empowers you to wake up to your full potential and achieve your biggest goals and dreams. I am your host, Hal Elrod, and I invite you to join us each week as we share actionable strategies to take your life to the next level, as well as interview world-class experts and entrepreneurs who have achieved extraordinary goals themselves, and we ask them to give you a peek behind the curtain and teach you exactly what you need to do the same. Ready? Here we go. Welcome to the Achieve Your Goals podcast. This is your host, Hal Elrod. And today you're going to hear a conversation, real, raw, authentic, with no preparation, that I had with Eric Hansen. And Eric Hansen is someone who's become a real inspiration to me. I discovered him in the Miracle Morning Community Facebook group through his daily posts. And today was his 96th consecutive daily post. Now, what makes Eric so inspiring is there's a few things. Number one is knowing his background. I didn't know the details, which you're going to hear his incredible story today. But the high points are he was a drug addict, began his drug addiction at age 12 years old, and had a mother that was an addict, and went from smoking, marijuana every day to snorting cocaine every day to then freebasing cocaine to then smoking meth. He then became homeless, living on the streets. He's been in and out of jail. He's been to prison 10 times. Most recently, he's been out for 4 months. And while he was in prison, he discovered this podcast. He actually listened to an episode of the podcast. I believe it was 338. He'll talk about it today. And that, he said, completely transformed his outlook on life. And you know that if you follow him in the Miracle Morning Community, which I would encourage everybody listening, go over to the Facebook group, the Miracle Morning Community. You can actually find it at miraclemorningcommunity.com. It'll just redirect you to Facebook. But go search Eric Hansen, EricHansen. Go search Eric Hansen and just read. I would read all of his posts. I mean, it's literally like an inspirational book. But his life, while he has turned it around in many aspects, it's still very challenging. His family, his 2 daughters who he loves dearly, because of how many times he's abandoned them and gone to jail and all of these things, they've kind of cut him out of their life, and it breaks his heart. So he doesn't have a relationship with his children that he wants so badly. He is now employed, which is fantastic, but he is living at a halfway house. His health from all the years of drug use is really difficult and really challenging, yet his quality of life internally, what I've talked about for so many months now, inner freedom, is exceptional. He is as happy and grateful as, more than most people. And you read his Facebook post and you just sense the authenticity. And he's got a following. I mean, people, hundreds of members of our community are commenting on his posts every day, telling him how helpful he is to them, what an inspiration he is to them. And so after following Eric in the group and commenting on his posts and being inspired by him, I actually reached out. I said, hey, I want to interview you on the Achieve Your Goals podcast. I want to hear your story because I didn't know the story that you're about to hear until today. And especially, and Eric tells it in vivid detail, you really get a picture of how someone could go from, he was very successful before being in prison, before being homeless. How do you go from being successful to being a drug addict and living on the streets? And maybe more importantly, how do you go from being at such a rock bottom where you don't have literally a dollar to your name? You don't have a residence. You don't have a vehicle. You're addicted to drugs. How do you go from that to now being an inspiration for thousands of other people, and not to mention turning your own life around? So make sure you listen to the end today. There were certain parts of the story where Eric got in a lot of detail, and I thought, well, it's a little more detail than we might need. But ultimately, this podcast as a whole and the way it concludes today, again, to me, it reminds me that no matter what's going on in our lives, we are both responsible and capable of choosing how we experience life. And even when it's difficult, it can still be a miracle. It can still be amazing. We can still be grateful and joyful and present and happy and so on and so forth. And last week I read, actually as part of last week's podcast, How to Be Present in Every Moment, I read one of Eric's posts from the Miracle Morning Community, just one that I particularly stood out and inspired me. I'm going to take just a minute right now to read that to you because if you didn't listen last week, I think this is really important to get an idea of what Eric Hansen is like. Usually you think, wow, drug addict, out of prison 10 times. And I think we're all guilty of making judgments about some quote unquote somebody like that, right? I don't know that I would trust somebody like that, but I want you to get a glimpse into who Eric Hansen is. So this was his post from August 7th, 2021. It says, day 85, hashtag the miracle morning. Good morning, everyone. It's so quiet out here this morning. During my meditation, I just close my eyes and try out every one of my senses. I slip between all of them, staying fully in the present. The sounds were pretty cool this morning because it was so quiet. Not as much traffic on a Saturday really brought out the birds and the bugs. I really enjoyed this one. I woke up a little crabby, but already I shook that off. I just wanted to take another look at where I am this morning in my life. My life, in one way of looking at things, is so far from perfect. I'm basically unemployed again due to my health. My health sucks. My family still has pretty much nothing to do with me, and my thoughts drive me crazy on a daily basis. If I choose to look through these lenses of life, I would be depressed all the time and would probably no longer be here posting or damn even clean off drugs anymore. I've learned that how I look at my life is my choice. I choose to look at those issues as my challenges in life, the speed bumps, because there are no roadblocks that I need to slow down the car and go over. What is better in my life? That's what I ask myself when I do my self-inventory. This list is way longer than the other one and really brings out my gratitude when I go over this list. Living on the streets, looking for another illegal come up is no way to live. I will find my way through these issues that I need to get past right now. I know I will. Then what? It will be on to the next issues that overcoming these will bring on. I'll get past those too. Hal Elrod, without you, none of this awareness would ever have been possible. Thank you. I'm going to make this day great now. That is Eric Hansen, ladies and gentlemen. Now, before you get to hear our conversation, I do want to take just a minute to acknowledge and thank the two sponsors of this podcast. The first is Organifi. And I think it's true. Most of us could use more energy in our day, but caffeine can only do so much, right? You spike, then you crash. And at some point, we need to look at the root causes of our fatigue, not just band-aiding it with caffeine. And it turns out two main factors in low energy are chronic stress and a lack of nutrition. And Organifi creates delicious superfood blends that address both of these problems. They use adaptogenic herbs and mushrooms to help balance cortisol levels associated with stress, and they make it easier to add more nutrients into your day. You just mix a scoop of Organifi into water or the plant-based milk of your choice and enjoy a natural boost any time of day. I use their products every day. I do their green juice, their red juice, their protein powder, and so much more. Head over to Organifi.com/Hal. That's ORGANIFI.com/Hal. And use the code HAL, HAL at checkout if you decide to get something, and you'll get 15% off your entire order. And then last but not least, I want to thank Self-Publishing School for sponsoring this podcast, because people like me and people like you and people like our guest today, Eric Hansen, that have a story to share of overcoming challenges in your life in a way that can help other people overcome their challenges. Self-Publishing School can help you take your goal, your dream of writing a book and make it a reality. Head to self-publishingschool.com/Hal. Again, that is self-publishingschool.com/Hal. And you will learn and get access to resources, everything that you need to turn your dream of writing a book into a reality. And now, without further ado, a conversation with one of the newest inspirations in my life and really a mentor. I believe we all can mentor each other through this journey because we're all, as Ram Dass said, we're all just walking each other home, right? Life is just, we're all just walking each other home. And today, it's my honor to introduce you to someone that's been helping walk me home, so to speak, Mr. Eric Hansen. Eric Hansen, it's great to finally talk to you, man.
Oh, it is I'm so honored to be here, Hal. Yeah, I've seen this day coming since the first podcast I listened to with you. You know, it literally, I'm just going to go right into it, man. You've saved my life. Your community has saved my life. I've tried so many different things in the past to get out of the hole I was in, and it was a pretty muddy hole. nothing ever worked. You know, I'd try counseling. I would try the step groups. And, you know, my mom always pushed the step groups on me because she was 30 years sober through it. So I think I have a head start from a lot of people who might be in my position because of my mother.
Yeah.
I hear her voice more every day than I ever have, but I give a lot of the credit. I've done a lot of work and I've taken action to apply a lot of what I learned. You can't apply everything, but I've taken action to apply the things that I feel I need the most. One of them is awareness into my life between your podcast and the group. I mean, the group is fantastic. I just love everybody in there. They lift me up every day. I found out through my posting in the Miracle Morning community that I do the same for them. And that is, I know why you do this, Hal. It's just the best feeling in the world. It warms my heart every day to read the comments. And I wouldn't have it any other way. I'm not going anywhere, guys.
Well, it's incredible, Eric. You've become, you know, you could almost say the unlikely leader of the group because you came there seeking support. And just for anybody listening, just for context, we're talking about the Miracle Morning Community Facebook group, right, Eric? That's specifically what you're referring to. You check in there every day. Today was where are we?
96.
Today's day 96 of you not only doing the Miracle Morning for 96 days in a row, but for you posting in the group every single day.
Actually, I think I've posted over, you know, like 105 or something, but I was just posting little things, you know, your little quotes and stuff like that. And I'd get like maybe, you know, 15 likes and I wasn't, you know, nobody saw me. And I just felt myself at that point slipping backwards. My first post was to hold myself accountable, right? Because I felt myself slipping back and I just didn't want to go back to where I was. I was willing to do anything not to slip back and go back to prison. I've been to prison 10 times. We're not going to make it number 11. That's for sure now. My foundation's pretty thick. But when I posted that first post and everybody jumped in, I just felt something. It just increased my feeling towards you know, your podcast and now this group and all the people that, you know, that live the life that you've taught us to live through Savers. And, you know, no, it's never perfect and it's not going to be, but yeah, that was a big day for me to post that. So what I posted was basically that my day one would start the next day and I was going to ride my bike 5 miles to the top of Phoenix because I knew this mountain that I climbed to the top of. There's no trail up there either. That's why I was going to do it every day, but there's no trail. And on the way down, I was like twisting my ankles and, you know, so I woke up that next morning and my bike had a flat tire after I've told everybody what I'm going to do.
Oh, wow.
So I thought, no excuses. I took an Uber with my last $10. That's all I had to my name was $10. And I took an Uber out there and I climbed that mountain and I took that picture. And that was the beginning of my commitment. And it's pretty cool.
It's extraordinary. So I want to go and we'll talk about integrity. Literally your last $10 because you said you gave your word that you were going to climb this mountain. Here's what I want to do today. I want to get to know you. And as we started to, just for anybody listening, in the beginning, I started to ask Eric just a question or two. And then I thought, you know what? Stop. Let's hit record. Let's capture all of this. So we don't know each other. We haven't prepared for today. This is going to be as real of a conversation as it can be. And Eric, I'm really coming from a place of inspiration by you and what I've seen that you went from homeless, living on the streets, addicted to drugs, in and out of prison, to now being a light for not only transforming your own life, using, you know, the Miracle Morning, I know is a big part of it, and not only transforming your own life, but now being a light for so many others. I read your post every day, and in one of your posts, I saw it was like day 10 of your Miracle Morning, and you had said the previous day's post had over 1,400 reactions, right? 1,400 people plus are being inspired by you. And so I'm really curious personally, and I would guess that for my audience, that I always wonder, you know, you see homeless individuals on the street, whether somebody, you know, I personally tend to try to give whatever I have. My family, we carry, I forgot what you call them, but like bags that each bag is prepared with toothbrush and toothpaste and socks and food and, you know, and just something we can give that adds a little bit of value for folks. But I am always curious, like, wow, how did that person, and sometimes I'll chat, but how does one become homeless? You know, I think there's certain stigmas in our society around that. It's almost like we discount and maybe I'm speaking for just myself, but sometimes there's this unconscious like, oh, it's their fault that they're homeless, right? And it may not be. So anyway, I'm just trying to get to I really want to hear your story, and I want people to understand how you go from whatever your life was like before to being homeless, addicted to drugs, and out of prison to now being an inspiration. So I really just want to capture that journey for people, because I think right now people are struggling in a lot of different ways. And I think to hear someone like you that's been, in my mind, you've been through things I've never been through. I've never been homeless. I've never been addicted to drugs. I've never been in prison 10 times. And so for someone that's gone through so much adversity, I am very curious and very inspired to hear your story and how you go from what you've been through to where you are now. So here's where I'd love to start. Before you became homeless, what was life like? What was your life like? Did you have a career? Where were you living? What was life like?
Okay. I won't go way back into my childhood or anything, but
yeah.
I started doing drugs when I was 12 years old, and it was just a constant battle. I would have, when I was 17 was the first time my mom went through rehab when I was 16. Through the program, she never drank again, a day at a time. And at her services, I literally, for 3 months, I listened to your number 338, Freedom from Your Emotional Pain. I listen to that one constantly because that's the one that's really helped me the most. I'll get more into that later, but I just want to say real quick, I wrote down every single word of that podcast when I was in prison.
Oh, you listened to that from prison?
That's how I found you. Tablets in prison.
Oh, see, I don't know all this. That's incredible. I don't know that. Okay.
I'll get into it. I'll get into it to let you know where I was at. So 17 years old, my mom basically forced me into rehab. She sent me from Chicago up to a treatment center in Minnesota that worked with the insurance from her work. She worked for a major airline my whole life. So, I've done a lot of traveling, and my mom was great. She didn't really have a lot of money, but she made sure that we had the good things up until a certain age when she started drinking heavily. I just had no consequences when I was a teenager, especially. I ran amok. I did whatever I want. I'd get in trouble. I'd talk her out of being grounded. I mean, it was real easy for me to manipulate her because she would just go to her room and drink. So I think that played a big role in me thinking I could get away with the same in society. So anyways, rehab at 17. I started working when I was 17 with my boss. He's the one who actually took me in after rehab because I spent 44 days in a 28-day program. I fought it tooth and nail. I did not want to be there. I didn't want to be sober. And I got out and I stayed sober for 21 months, even though I didn't want to. I hated every minute of it, but I knew it was the right thing. And I've always known since then it was the right thing. I then started getting into harder drugs, cocaine. When I was 19, I started with cocaine. I blew my nose out, the membrane, everything.
Oh, wow.
Bled for gushing blood for 8 hours. It was all bad. And someone said, well, why don't you smoke it? That day, I was like, oh, you can smoke it? I didn't even know. And he's like, yeah, you can smoke it. So I started freebasing cocaine. And
that was at what age?
That was at 19.
Okay, 19.
So from that day forward, I've had really good stretches in my life because I would destroy everything. I always made decent money for the times. I was in construction at the time. I ended up hurting my back as a concrete forming laborer. I had a chunk of lumber fall on my back from 3 stories up as I was bent over and knocked my lower discs out. And I never had the surgery for that, but it seems to have healed up fine now. But anyways, so I got into sales.
Okay.
Sales is such it's an up and down emotionally, especially at first, business where you'll be on such a high because you just sold 10 cars in a week.
Yeah.
I got into, first it was audio video sales. My first 6 months in audio video sales, which I didn't, and my buddy talked me into it. I'm like, there's no way I can go sell. Are you kidding? Talk to the public? No way. I was a burnout. I was the burnout guy, smoking weed all the time. Now I'm smoking cocaine. And I just didn't think I could go sell. Well, my first 6 months, I won 2 nationwide camcorder contests.
Wow.
I ended up assistant manager in 6 months. And within 8 months, I had my own store in a brand new mall.
Wow.
The mall was 50% open. And, it was a mall store, audio video. And I was running third in the zone. my brand new store with 50% mall open. So they loved me. Well, I ended up, it's just one thing after another in my life. And a lot of it's self-inflicted. A lot of it wasn't. I had an assistant manager stealing $2 or $3 a day for lunch when I wasn't there. And they let me go because I couldn't keep control of my staff.
Wow.
So,
now, and were you freebasing cocaine outside of work during this time?
Yeah. I mean, I never used at work. It was my weekend.
Sure.
At this point, I would spend my whole paycheck. We moved 13 times in like 6 years because we got evicted so many times. And, our family stepped in and helped. And eventually they stopped helping, So, you have longer stretches of doing well. But, so I learned a little bit about management, and I ended up losing that job. And I went to this, I didn't go to the streets. I started a company cleaning carpets, and I did okay. I paid my bills, and but that gave me the freedom to really party. I lived 2 doors down from a bar.
Wow.
It was just all bad. It was all bad. That was a really bad stretch for me. That's when I started crying. So I got divorced in 1993. My ex-wife and I, God bless her, I love her to death still to this day. She's awesome. She's been the kids' rock. Me, it was flight. She was fight, I was flight. And even though we both had our responsibility in doing the drugs and everything, I give her a lot of credit. She really stuck it out. We never got the kids taken away. We never partied in front of the kids. We weren't like that. We always hid it from them. But it's just financially, it's just so easy to spend so much money on cocaine so quickly that, you'll spend the rent money the day you get it, the weekend that you get it. Then I got to go back to work. Anyway, so I ended up losing that job. I cleaned carpets for about a year, and I ended up in car sales. The team of guys there they taught me. I learned about business. I learned about, so many different things. Car sales is not easy. I ended up making it look easy. I got really good at that. I spent 22 years in that business, and very frustrating for everybody because I would start working my way up, and the cocaine would drag me right back down again. 6 months, 6 months later, they're looking to make me a manager. I should be at this point running a Honda store, making $250,000 a year somewhere, as a GM. And I don't regret that. My journey's taken me to where I am now, and I'm in a really wonderful place. But, on and off to prison, I'm just going to kind of motivate through this a little bit. On and off to prison, I've been to prison 10 times, I include violations in that because, you're out in society again on parole and you violate your parole. You go back to prison. That's another time to prison. I've got 16 felony convictions, all for feeding my drug habit or paying my bills because I fed my drug habit with my money. And, a lot of hard lessons. I mean, Cook County Jail is no joke. I've been through there 5 times. Cook County Jail is what really taught me not to be racist. It taught me not to judge people because that's where I learned that we all have the same problems. We all have the same families that miss us. We all miss our families. We have children we love and miss. And everybody has those same feelings when you're in there. So prison has changed a lot for me because I grew up with a dad in the 70s. I was born in 66. Things were a lot different than they are now. There was no effort to try to, to fix this problem that we have in the nation and in the world maybe. But I walked into the first place I walked into in Cook County Jail. There was 144 men on a tier that fit 44. And I was one of 3 that was white. I was terrified going in. And, I thought I was going to get beat up every day. And some guys do, but it all depends on how you carry yourself in there. But it's not easy. I mean, I've seen people get stabbed in the neck. I've seen, 4 guys go into a cell and beat someone for 2 minutes straight because they stole something. I've seen someone get their hand smashed in the hinge side of a door. I mean, jail and prison is no joke. You have to always be aware of what's going on. You can't rack up debts you can't pay, and you don't disrespect people. If you have an issue with somebody, either you scrap it out or you show respect without cowering. You can't do that. So, yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of ups and downs there. So then I get out in 2000. Let's just move it up to 2015.
Yeah.
I was in prison for attempting to run 82 pounds of marijuana across an international border. I don't know what I was thinking to take on the U.S. government like that. But, they got me. And I got 3.5 years. So I spent that in a minimum prison. it really wasn't rough. I called it Disneyland compared to what I'm used to. And for 2 years, there were 7 of us. This is when I really started taking action to try to better myself with still some failed attempts. However, I'm really proud of myself for this one. Well, I did get my GED in prison. I joke around. I was the valedictorian of my GED class in prison.
Is that a real thing? You really were?
Scored in the night. No.
Oh, okay.
Because I got the highest score out of anybody in there. But I also scored in the top 95% in the country for all the testing for that week, or that month, 3 months or whatever, however they ran it. So, I'm not a stupid guy by no means. And 7 of us were in class that we started on our own, not sanctioned by the prison. We had textbooks, college textbooks sent in, and we taught ourselves business finance and accounting. Okay. I can read a balance sheet. I know I can read an income statement. I can tell if a company's in debt or if they're in the black. We got out. We started a company buying and selling companies. This leads to my homelessness right here, just so you know, I'm not just bragging.
Sure.
And we had a little bit of funding, and we actually took that company public. We made a couple acquisitions. We took it public and traded on the OTC markets for 8 days. And because our contract said we had to be compliant and get all our filings up to speed and everything with the SEC in a year, this is what I was told anyways. It took us 15 months. It was a breach of contract. The company that we bought the public shell from took it back. They didn't even let us talk in court. So everything went with it. I had, a bunch of stock issued to me, or was about to be issued to me as one of the co-founders of the company. Everything went back, all the stock, the acquisitions we made, we lost everything. So the CEO that came in and got us compliant, Christopher James McKenna, just love that guy. He's amazing. The guy, what an amazing person. Military wounded in action, didn't make an excuse for that. Continued on with his education. He's got a master's in chemistry. Just an amazing man. I love that guy to death. He's mentored me in so many ways.
Yeah.
And we started another company that he had sitting dormant, selling cable internet phones, data services, cloud services, merchant services. I built a website. It wasn't the best website, but we just needed something to show the client when we went in to sell our services. Or I wanted to hire 500 people, 10 in each country to do this. And I was getting set up to do that. And he found out that his cancer was back. And, I was told he had 15 months to live. So we shut that down. After that, I lost my place because I had no money coming in now. And instead of just getting back up on the horse, I started getting high again. That's when I went to the streets. I just gave up. I could have got back up on the horse and got a job and done all that. I just chose I didn't want to do that. Just wanted to not have any responsibility for a while. And I hated it for the first 6 months. I hated being on the streets.
So let me ask you so you gave up your place, and then what is that transition like? Do you have just the clothes on your back? Do you have a sleeping bag? Do you have cardboard?
I had a backpack full of clothes.
Okay.
I had my hygiene products, and I just went and sat by McDonald's and thought about my life and what's happening. And I was upset that Chris was sick again. I mean, there's just so much going on. I'm thinking about my kids and how I let them down again because I talked up that whole ordeal. It's possible we'll never have to worry about anything again. I'm going to take care of you guys. That's something that it still weighs on me, even though I'm making progress. I let my kids down. That's really, really hard for me. I love my girls to death. Not really in their life so much anymore. They don't trust me. They're starting to again.
Yeah.
I finally had a meeting with my youngest daughter after I got out this time because she wouldn't even talk to me. I mean, she was at her wit's end with me because of the last time I went to prison. We're finally starting to repair that.
How old are they now? How old are your girls now?
33 and 32. I have 4 grandkids.
Oh, wow.
On my youngest daughter's side, I've only seen my one granddaughter once, maybe twice. And my grandson I've never met yet, but she doesn't want to put them in front of me until she sees I'm stable. So
sure.
I get it.
Sure.
I'm certainly not mad at her. The day that I left, we moved down to Arizona originally in 2001. That's how long they've been here. My ex-wife was working for a company, making $60,000 a year. She was one step below vice president for her division, and she was doing very well. Got down here. And I got out on parole down here. I transferred my parole from Illinois. And on one of the times I went to prison. And I started getting high again. So she took my money. Because when I was in the county jail, I got beat up by the cops for smiling. And they ruptured my eardrum. It took a year to heal. And, I sued them and got 60 grand for that. So I had the remainder of that money left. And she took it and wouldn't give it back to me. So I got mad and left. And that was the last time I saw my girls for 10 years.
Wow.
So yeah, that there's a lot of guilt involved in that, but I'm getting over it. I realize that if I just keep moving forward and doing the right thing like I'm doing now, that'll heal.
That's exactly it. You can't change the past, but you are doing the right things now. Go ahead.
My oldest daughter is, she's always been there cheering me on. I don't know how sincere she is about it, but she makes it seem sincere. I don't really see them that often either. I'd love to see both of them more and, start to rebuild this, take some action in that area because I get a little bit of cats in the cradle from her, let's get together. And then I'm busy, so, if you guys are listening, I love you. And I want to really start repairing everything. I know it's going to take some time, but we can start taking a step. Let's take a step.
So you're on the streets and this started in 2015?
This started in 2015 and I went to prison one time in between there. I borrowed some shorts from somebody because mine were, I just needed a cleaner pair of shorts. And I was getting my clothes by jumping into recycle bin or donation bins. That's how I shopped. I never did laundry. I would just go get new clothes out of the donation bins. And I actually got really good at being homeless up until I started crime again. I can't really get too much into that because some of that could still get me into trouble.
Sure. Where were you sleeping? You mentioned that it started you sitting out by McDonald's, thinking about your life and all the pain. And then I'm actually curious, that first night that you slept outside, what was that like? Where did you sleep?
At first, I didn't really sleep outside that much. I had friends still that would let me crash on their couch.
Got it.
But I couldn't stay there all the time. I couldn't live there. But I would go over there maybe during the day and hang out. And one time I slept in a folding chair after being up for like 6 days straight, smoking meth. But now I started smoking. I put cocaine away and I'm smoking meth now. And I slept in a folding chair for 18 hours straight. They had to keep checking my pulse because I didn't move. I needed sleep that bad. So my life since 2015, or I'll say the beginning of 16, has been pretty much, 3 or 4 days awake with 3 to 6 hours of sleep for the most part. Every once in a while, you get a power sleep in and just running amok. Running amok. I started stealing again to support my habit or just to get food or whatever. But, it's not an easy life out there. So I don't know. I think about it now. What I think about now compared to being homeless, it's like I had a conversation with someone one time. He's like, well, I can't work because of my back. And I said, well, you can work. And he goes, no, I can't. And, how dare you say that to me? And he got mad with me. And I said, well, let me put it to you this way. We all have a choice to work. Every one of us out here, there's some with mental illness that maybe can't, but for the most part, the drug addicts could work. We choose not to. And he goes, that's not true. My doctor says I can't work. I said, but you can climb in dumpsters all day and you can recycle shit all day. Oh, excuse my language.
Yeah.
You can recycle stuff all day. And, that's hard work, man. If you just focused your attention and channeled that in the right direction, you could find a job. So there's a man with Down syndrome that's been working at McDonald's for 5 years. If he can hold a job for 5 years, so can you.
Yeah.
And he looked at me and he goes, oh man, you just messed up my head.
You just woke him up.
But it's true. We could, and we just, I think a lot of us, when you're addicted to drugs, you don't want to be.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guilt. There's a lot of shame. There's a lot of fear. And instead of fighting that and battling forward, we just, we would give up. We just gave up. I just didn't want responsibility. I didn't want the rent. I didn't want the phone bill. I didn't want the insurance payment. I just didn't want it.
So when did things start to turn around for you? Let's transition the story into when and how you discovered the Miracle Morning and how you got off the streets.
Okay. The last time I went to prison, I went to help my neighbor. This was in 2019, October of 19. I went to help my neighbor move some stuff out of storage. and he tries burning through a lock or the latch on one of the units. I didn't know he was going to do this when I went there. He tried burning through to break into one of the storage units while I was standing by the truck talking to his girlfriend. And thinking back, I think she was just distracting me. So when they got it open, I could help them load the stuff without them having to cut me in. It's how it is. People are always trying to scam me one way or another on the street. So the whole building burned down. He burned the whole building down. Then they tried to push it on me. Well, once the story all got out, 14 months later, sitting in the county, I didn't even have court for 8 months because of COVID. So I couldn't even tell my side of the story.
So you were in county jail for those 8 months?
I was in county jail for 14 months, Maricopa County Jail, which is, just the food alone will make you never want to go back there, but people still do. Anyway, so the whole time I was in there, I knew I had to change something about me. I really wasn't, I was taking action. We had tablets in there too. And I spent most of mine either in the law library fighting my case because my attorney wasn't doing anything for me. So I was writing up all my own motions and stuff like that. I got really good at it. And I was on Khan Academy educating myself.
Yeah, I'm familiar. My daughter and son use Khan Academy for their online education. Yeah.
They're all just so, they put things that are complicated into such simple terms. I loved it. So anyways, that's what I was doing in there. It was pretty much, I was on my tablet all the time, just learning stuff, either about the law or, whether it be I went through almost everything in Khan Academy. So again, here we are, another attempt in the back of my mind of doing something to not go back to what I did. So anyways, I got to my settlement conference and I told my side of the story, and I didn't have to, as we say on the streets, I didn't have to rat anybody out. I just said, I went there with the intention of helping somebody move. I didn't see anybody start a fire. I didn't see anybody try to break into anything. I just know I wasn't there with that intent to do that. So yeah, I was there. And once I found out what happened, this is where, Your Honor, I have some responsibility in this. I could have said something, but we just don't do that on the streets. We don't rat people out. Yeah. And it turns out, they were trying to rat me out and put it all on me, not rat me out. They were trying to push all of their stuff on me the whole time. So, I think the judge believed me and he gave me a chance. The state's attorney came into that conference. He was going to raise my plea from 3.5 years because he just got all my felonies back from Illinois. And after hearing me talk, he said, I have to say, Mr. Hanson, you're very convincing. Whether I believe you or not, that doesn't even matter. He goes, I'll lower your plea today, even though I came to raise it to 2.5 years, but that's as low as he would go. They don't like to let somebody who they arrested go because then it looks bad on them. And
sure, like they made a mistake.
There's a lot of things. Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of things involved in that. And I get that. And again, this is all part of my responsibility I have to take for my actions in my past. So I told the judge, I said, I take responsibility for where my life is at and putting myself around people like this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do everything I can. I had already taken like 14 classes and I brought that with me, like counseling stuff they had on the tablet. And I brought a transcript with me because it keeps track of it, everything that you do. And I'm going to continue to try to better myself. And he goes, I said, I want to get my bachelor's. I was actually signed up when I got arrested. I signed up with the community college, I guess, to get my bachelor's in business. And I had an appointment to set up financial with the college when I got arrested on this case. So
you're in jail, you're pursuing your bachelor's. And did you end up serving the 2.5 years?
I did. Well, no, the judge gave me 2. I signed for 2.5 and the judge gave me the mitigated sentence. He gave me 2. And he said, I believe you're going to, something about you. It was your energy. I believe everything you said to me. Because I'm going to go ahead and give you the mitigated sentence, even with all my felonies. So, that goes to say the truth always comes out in court. It usually does anyways. Not always, but some people serve a lot of years and they're innocent. But for the most part, the truth always comes out. And I think they saw the truth. I just wasn't there to do that day. I'm not saying I wasn't doing stuff, but I wasn't there that day to do that. So I told the judge, I said, I'm going to do everything I can to respect the gift you just gave me. I really appreciate it. And, so when I got into prison, this is where the transformation starts. I was issued my tablet like 30 days late. They just didn't have enough of them. So, but when I got it, I started listening to business podcasts because I didn't have a TV. So, pretty much everybody else had a TV. Their family would send them money. How many times can you go and your family send you money? They're not going to keep doing it. So I always have to rough it. I always had to rough it for the last 4 or 5 times to prison. So I had no TV. I'm listening to business podcasts, side hustles, affiliate marketing in general, anything to do with business. I was listening. I listened to over 150 podcasts, and I was walking with my tablet after I just finished up a podcast, and I stopped and I just said it out loud. I said, none of this is ever going to work, Eric, unless you change you. And I think that was my mom. I hear my mom's voice more now that she's gone than I ever did when she was alive, because it seemed like she was just drilling me as a mom back then. But I hear her voice now more than ever. And, I actually stopped and said that out loud. So I went into personal development because I remember seeing that. And when I first saw it, I was like, personal development, whatever. I'm going to business, So I went into the personal development section in my tablet, and I saw Achieve Your Goals with Hal Elrod. And I was like, achieve your goals. Okay, goals. Everybody talks about goals in marketing. Everybody talks about goals in business. Sounds like a winner for me. And I listened to one podcast, and just that first podcast, it was like an epiphany for me. I knew right then that my life was going to change. It was that distinct for me. I just knew it. You have a way about you of just it drew me in. I'm sure it does thousands of people too, but and your story is just, your struggles are as hard as my struggles, just in a different way. And everybody's struggles are as hard as my struggles, just in a different way.
Sure.
And we all have those same feelings, and we all have to learn how to, manage those feelings and fears and all the stuff that goes with it. And you just, like I said, there was Freedom from Your Emotional Pain, number 338. I literally wrote down I think with the last 5 minutes, maybe I stopped, but I wrote down every single word because I wanted to remember that podcast. I've listened to it like 7 or 8 times now since I've been out.
Wow. And anyone that wants to listen, that's episode 338. So you can go back. It's halelrod.com/338 if you want to listen to the episode that Eric is referring to. And it's Freedom from Your Emotional Pain. So Eric, so the podcast started. So that was while you were in prison. And then fast forward to, how did you meet Stephanie Blackbird? Because am I understanding correctly, Stephanie is the one that introduced you to the Miracle Morning, correct? Or was it just through the podcast?
It was just through the podcast. I looked it up.
Okay.
But after that first post, maybe the second one, I don't remember exactly what day. It was back in May. Stephanie approached me on the side and she said, Eric, we'd like to come out and take you to dinner and get to know you a little better.
Wow.
I mean, it was like just big, huge open arms. Not that she's big and huge. Don't take that the wrong way, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, but that's in that you guys live in the same area, correct?
We live in the same area. She lives in Scottsdale. I'm in Phoenix, and they drove out.
And real quick, Eric, for anybody listening that's not aware, Stephanie Blackbird is the head admin for the Facebook group, for the Miracle Morning Community Facebook group. So just to give a little context for everybody listening. So she drove out to have dinner with you?
She drove out to have dinner with me. Her and Alan came out, and her husband, and they took me out to dinner, and we sat and talked, and we hit it off. We became friends. And I look to Stephanie from time to time when I'm struggling, and she puts me in my place. She put me in my place a couple of times. Listen to what's coming out of your mouth. It's all negative. I can't. And that made me more aware of my words. I'll tell you that, just talking with Stephanie. So she's helped me with a couple of things. When I first started posting, I would just one long paragraph, and, she kind of taught me how to separate that a little so it's easier to read. And I mean, I knew how to paragraph. I just wasn't doing it because it was a post. I didn't realize that it was my social media skills, we'll say, were minimal at best. And she's helped me out quite a bit. And what that did, her taking me out to dinner, I mean, okay, it sounds great and all. She took me out to dinner. It made me feel like normal society will accept me back, because I had, it's still, even to this day, I still have this guilt and shame where I feel like society looks at me different. I don't want that. I want to get past that.
Yeah.
And, the community's helping me a lot with that, because there's just some rock solid world-class people in there. And then there's people that need my help too, by just my posts. I've made some friends in the group and I'll always stick my hand out to help somebody. Always. If I don't have time, I can get back to them or, whatever, but I usually have time. I haven't really been doing much. So anyways, it's just been since I got out, I can say I'm a totally different person than I was when I went in. That's for sure. Even from when I got out.
And how long have you been out?
I've been out since April 23rd.
Okay. So May, June, July, August. So 4 months-ish?
4 months. Yeah. I get off parole. I had 6 months of parole almost exactly. And I get off October 21st. And
your Miracle Morning has been something that you've done. Is it every single day or just almost every single day?
Well, since I started that first post, it's been every day.
Every single day. And you're at day 96 consecutive. Wow, it's incredible.
Day 96 today. I just posted this morning before the podcast and got my business stuff done that I need to do. Just my Facebook stories and all that. Yeah, I mean, things are starting to rock for me.
Where are you living now?
Hell Rats podcast. I'm in Phoenix. I'm in a halfway house still.
You're in a halfway house. Okay.
Yeah.
You're in sales again, essentially network marketing. You've got a job again, got a business?
Yeah. I started out working with Christopher James McKenna. And here's the deal with all this. I just wasn't making any money. He's still with us, thank God, and battling his pancreatic cancer. And he offered me a position. Basically, I could set up a sales force wherever I wanted to again and sell fiber optic internet, double someone's speed, and lower their bill in half, cut their bill in half. And I didn't sell one.
Huh.
Not one.
I'm surprised with your sales background.
I figured it out just recently. Shelly Armato, she's in the group. She told me this not long ago. She said, Eric, your brain is like a computer. What you program into it it's like a hard drive. If you say you're broke, you're going to be broke. If you say you can't, you won't. If you say you can't get up in the morning, you're not going to get up in the morning.
Yeah.
You have to think abundant. You have to think that you can. You have to program that computer, your hard drive, to all positive stuff. And it's really not that hard to do. You just have to change your paradigm in which you look at the world. So I started doing that. I left Chris because I was offered an opportunity in network marketing to sell gut health products. Our products are helping. Basically, your leaky gut is they're finding out just recently, the last 20 years, 30 years, or whatever, more in the last 10, that if you have a leaky gut, which if you eat the standard American diet or take a lot of medication, ibuprofen, Tylenol, psych meds, it's tearing up the lining in your gut, and you're leaking poison basically into your system, into your bloodstream, and it's affecting your organs. They're finding out it's the underlying cause to a lot of people's health issues, and something about that resonated with me. Another way to show an impact on the world and make somebody's life better. And that's why I chose this product, and that's why I chose this company. And everybody's jumped right in to help me out. I mean, they've held my hand through some of it, and step by step, this is how you do this. It's a lot different than car sales, I'll tell you. But I'm getting some world-class training through this company, and I'm getting it in other places too. I'm not putting all my eggs in one basket. My friend Cindy Lee has just been fantastic. She's helped me set up all my systems and is really just going above and beyond to help me. She loved my story too, and she's put a lot of time and effort into helping me. So thank you, Cindy Lee, for that. I'm well on my way. I feel great. I think I'm past the whole abundance thing, and I'm ready to rock and roll. So I couldn't even imagine my life being where I'm at right now, even though I still don't have a bank account. It's my attitude. It's the way you've trained my brain, Al, and your podcast and your people to look at life. You just you can't change it. I say it all the time. Can't change it. If something happens, is it really bad? And when it's not even that bad things happen to us, it's just things we don't want to happen to us. Yeah.
And you can you choose how you respond, you choose how you interpret it.
My awareness is the key to all this, because I'm very aware on a daily basis of what's going on. I'm constantly evaluating where I'm at. So that's key for me, is my awareness.
Well, Eric, you to me are the epitome of everything that I try to teach and try to help people become aware of, which is that life is life. And sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down, sometimes it's harder than you could ever imagine, and sometimes it's great. And at the end of the day, the one commonality in your life is you. It's how are you showing up and how are you choosing to experience your life? And Eric, to me, you are the epitome of inner freedom, which is, you decide every day through your awareness and through your intention and using your miracle morning practice to see, in simple terms, see the bright side of life, to focus on all that you have to be grateful for instead of allowing all of what could be overwhelming negativity and mistakes in the past and even your current circumstances not being where they could have been, should have been, you wanted them to be. You could let that become your reality and depress you and discourage you. And I am so inspired by you because you choose the life that you're living. And everyone listening to this has that power. And I want to invite, if you're listening, I want to invite you to realize that look at Eric's life. Look at the challenges that Eric's faced. And Eric, by the way, what I see in you is just a freaking amazing human being who went through a set of circumstances and was put in an environment with an addicted mom and were introduced to drugs, I'd imagine, by your peers at 12 years old. Your ability to make intelligent, rational decisions with the thought of how it's going to impact the rest of your life is, it's not real developed at that point. And so what I see in you is just, you found a way to persevere through the challenges. And the real Eric to me is who I'm talking to right now. And the real Eric is who people are listening or seeing, reading, and inspired by your posts every day in the community. Is you're an exceptional human being. You have, in high integrity that's been tested and challenged and wavered maybe throughout. But to me, that's who you are. You have integrity, right? You're the guy. Who Eric Hansen is, you're the guy who told the Miracle Morning community in the Facebook group that you were going to go hike a mountain, woke up to a flat tire, and you have such integrity that you spent your last $10 to take an Uber to get to that mountain and hike it by foot so that you could follow through with what you said you were going to do. So Eric, I honor you, I admire you, I applaud you, and I thank you for your leadership in the Miracle Morning community and your contribution to humanity as a whole, just by how you're choosing to show up and how you're choosing to show up for not only yourself, but for other people as well.
Thank you, Hal. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate everything. I'm going to continue doing this. I feel like, at this point, I look back at my past and I feel like that was all just training for what I'm really meant to do.
Yeah.
The last thing my mom said to me before she passed away, I had to fly back to Arizona. I was on parole back in 2011. She passed away 11/22/11. And the day before she died, I had to fly back. So she said to me, Eric, do you know why I've always had your back through all your problems? She had lung cancer and she could barely talk. She was like, Eric, she had to whisper it. And I said, why, Mom? And we were both crying. And she patted on her chest and she said, because you have a good heart. So, yeah, it's still tough. I miss my mom, but you know what? If she was here, she'd be so proud. I know she sees me, so I know she's proud. And I know she's probably pushing me in the right direction here and there. So God bless her soul.
Yeah. Amen, brother. And Eric, I believe you do have a good heart. That's in one simple sentence that is encapsulating everything that I was trying to say, which is you're living from your heart, man. So thank you.
Thank you, Hal. Thank you for having me on the show. I really, this has been my dream since I first listened to your podcast. And I didn't realize it was visualization at the time. But every day I'm like, I have to say, I was like, where's Hal? Why doesn't he comment on my stuff? He's never said anything. And somebody said to me, he's just watching you. He wants to make sure that you're real because there's a lot of people that come and go in here. But Hal's coming. And he said that. And after he said that to me, it was Jeff Lindikoff. He said, Hal's watching you. He's coming. Trust me when I say Hal's coming. And awesome. Here we are right now. I'm thrilled to death. I can't believe I'm here. I can believe I'm here. I can believe I'm here.
You can and you can't. Really I know it. I know what that's like.
Yeah. So thank you. I really appreciate this opportunity. Hopefully somebody can get out of bed today because of this podcast that couldn't before,
Yeah. You got it, brother.
Thank you.
Well, you are welcome. It is a mutual pleasure. And, we'll keep doing what you're doing and I'll keep doing what I'm doing. We'll keep making a difference in any way that we can. Goal achievers.
And my next visualization is to shake your hand.
All right. Yeah, I'm sure you'll manifest
it. Make that happen.
All right, brother. Well, hey.
Yes, if I have to take an Uber to you, I will.
Much love, Eric. I appreciate you, man. And we'll talk soon.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. To learn more about the Achieve Your Goals podcast and to get access to today's show notes, transcript, and exclusive content from Hal Elrod, visit halelrod.com/podcast. Thanks again for joining us. Be sure to tune in next week for another episode of the Achieve Your Goals podcast.